Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to worship again. I'm going to be doing this for 3 Sundays. This is a test, and I'm really looking forward to it. I hope I can do it, physically and so forth, and mentally, and all that, all the challenge of doing 3 Sundays in a row. It'd be just like the old days when I was a pastor in a congregation. I had to do it more than 3 Sundays a row. You did it every Sunday till you went on vacation. But anyway, this is good. I've enjoyed looking at these lessons ahead of time, and I sort of got them lined up like ducks, So it's good. Life is good. The challenge today is we're going to talk about missionaries, and everybody's going to become deputized to become a missionary, to go out into the world. Jesus called together 70. He got this big group of people, and he put them all in a tent, and he started lecturing them and teaching them what they had to do. And he gave them very specific instructions. Now, I got to back up a little bit because I want to talk about missionaries. If you read the last edition of the Lux, you know that our family was written up by our friend Bill here. Bill Trevarthen wrote a piece about my family. My grandparents were missionaries in a country called Tanganyika at that time when they went there in 1925. That's a long time ago. And they took their children with them. My dad was the oldest child. You remember, I guess it's still funny, I guess this is where it comes from, but remember that picture in the article that there was this guy standing on top of the car with my grandma and all the other little kids. And that was my dad. All you see is his feet on top of the car when they were taking the picture. So that's the kind of guy where it comes from, where I get it honestly, where, the gene pool thing. Everybody nod your head, okay. We all understand that. Anyway, here's the deal. My dad was a pastor. He had 3 brothers that were pastors. He had 2 brother-in-laws that were pastors, and my grandpa was a pastor. And I'm the last one. I'm the only grandchild that became a pastor. So I'm the end of the line. But as I know for sure, there's 2 things I want to tell you about my dad's brother-in-laws, where one of them is still alive. The rest of them have all passed away. I think I still have one aunt living in Chicago, who was the wife of Uncle Phil. Now, Uncle Joe used to go to church here, and he's the guy that wrote this family history that Bill referred to in his article about my grandparents going to Africa in 1925 as missionaries. The reason for that, of course, without belaboring into too much detail, just making it into a lecture, the reason for them going there was because of the Germans lost World War I. Remember that? When you lose a war, you have to give up some things. And one of the things they had to give up was territory that was transferred over to the British. And the British were not Lutherans. The British were Church of England, or Episcopals, we call them, or in this country. Anyway, they had to have some Lutheran missionaries that were in Germany, had to be replaced by people from another persuasion, another group. So they appealed to the Church of Sweden, and they appealed to the United States, and my grandpa was in St. Paul, Minnesota, decided to go to Tanganyika. Anyway, they were there for 40-some years. One more thing I want to tell you about my family is my Uncle Howie was related to my aunt. His name is Howard Olson, and he is in the hymnal. If you take out your hymnal, he's got 3 hymns from Tanzania that are attributed. He translated those, and so his name is in the book. One of them is that one we love to sing called Listen, God is Calling. That's one of his hymns. He's got 2 other ones. I don't think we sing them very often, but anyway, that's all I want to say about my family. except the fact that missionaries, we still don't talk about what they really are. What are missionaries? They're people that are sent ahead, according to our lesson today. They're people that God sends out to share the good news. Now, the good news is hard to share nowadays because you can't do like my dad did when he was a pastor, go out in the afternoon every day, drive his car around the neighborhood, stop the car, get out of the car, walk up and knock on somebody's door and say, "Hi, my name is Michael Anderson and I'm from the church." And nobody was there, and nobody's there at the door, are they? People don't come to the door if they are home. Secondly, they don't want to be bothered. Thirdly, they're probably at work, and so forth. And second, and besides that, they still probably go to some other church. So here's the deal. How do we do that? We've had an evangelism team in this church for a while. We talked about going out. We have been out in what we call the flower pot, which is the neighborhood behind us here, and we've gone out and rang on the doorbells and said hello to people and so forth. And you know, tell them that there's a church here. Actually, there's the Islamic Center, and there's our church and the Methodist. So yeah, this is a well-churched area here. Anyway, we invite people that way, but that doesn't always work. Now, these people were sent ahead of Jesus. Jesus was going to go there and eventually to these places. Jesus was going to go there and share the good news with them. Now, these people were like what we call an advanced group, an advanced party that went ahead. But he was very careful what he tells them, isn't it? You got to be innocent like lambs, not like wolves. You got to travel light. Don't take any baggage with you. Don't take any backpacks. Don't take your water bottle. Travel light. You're in a hurry. The one I really revel at is don't talk to people on the road. Now that's where I get into trouble all the time because you're always talking to people. Say, "Hey, how are you? Good to see you." You can't do that. You're supposed to be in a hurry on this trip where you go. Travel light. And then we're going to run into this subject in a couple weeks. Not next Sunday, but the following Sunday when we talk about Mary and Martha and Abraham and Sarah. But we're going to talk about hospitality. Hospitality. In the Middle East times, people were very gracious about how they welcomed people. If somebody came to your door, would you invite them in and say, "Come on in. Are you thirsty? Can I wash your feet off? Or my servant will wash your feet off, you know? Or can I take care of you? Would you like to stay for dinner?" Do we ever do that to a stranger? No, I don't think so. But that's what they did. Excuse me. The allergy is catching up. Anyway, so how do we do this? What can we get from this lesson today that makes us feel good about being here and worshiping today? I think there are two main points I want to make. Excuse me. One is, first and foremost, whatever we do in this world today, and this is a point I've been trying to make all morning, we do it together. We are not alone. Jesus sent those people out in pairs. We are not alone when we go out into this world to minister in the name of Christ. We are not alone. You don't go, even if you are alone, you've still got somebody with you, and his name is God. God goes with us all the time. God keeps us from being afraid. I got to tell you, I think I got time for this, but when I was a young intern 50 years ago, actually the year I'm back, this year, 50 years ago, I'm back in seminary already. But anyway, 51 years ago, I was an intern in Flint, Michigan at Salem Lutheran Church, and the pastor told me one day, gave me a little pad of paper, he said, go out and knock on all the doors in our neighborhood and introduce yourself. And go by yourself. And guess what? Our neighborhood is not so friendly. Even in 51 years ago, it was a changing neighborhood. We had people of one kind of race and people of another kind of race in conflict with each other, so to speak. The neighborhood was changing. So here's what happened. I did pretty good for a couple of days, going up and down the side streets there in Flint, and didn't get in too much trouble and too much hassle. Didn't get into anything until one day I walked. This house was within eye shot of our church. It was across the street from our church on a side street. And I said, when I knocked on the door opened, and I said, I'm from the church across the street, and then the door slammed. And I mean slammed. I felt the wind of that slam right on my nose. I remember. I don't know if I was leaning forward or what, but man, it slammed hard. And I said, oh, I guess they don't want to talk. That's the way it is sometimes. So I tell you that story because, yeah, there's times when things don't go so good. And you do get the door slammed in your face. You get angry people that are mad about something. Maybe they're mad at God. Maybe they're mad at the church. What did the church do? I don't know. Church didn't do anything maybe, but there's reasons why people get mad at the church. We all know that. I mean, well, I don't have to go into that too much, do I? So anyway, we are in this together. And the other point I want to make before I close up is very simple. We're not called upon to put notches in our belt to convert people to Jesus Christ. What we are called on to do is to plant seeds. Seeds. Seeds are little things like, hey, I like you, I want you to come to church, but you're invited to come to church, but you don't have to. But you can work on this at your own rate because God is the one that's going to change you, not me. It's not about what I do or what I proclaim or how pretty I am or whatever it is that we do in this world to invite people to Christ. Whatever we ring doorbells or we put out pamphlets or we use the media and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. Because it's God who's going to grow our faith. All our faith is completely dependent upon the work of Almighty God changing our lives every day and making us his people. That's what we rejoice in. So we're not really on the hook, we're off the hook in a lot of ways. And there were one more thing I got to talk about because it always occurs to me to mention this, and that is, if you don't have a lot of wherewithal or moxie to go out and ring doorbells or talk to your neighbors, I know one thing you can do that we can all do, and that is pray. Pray every day for someone. Pray incessantly that somebody will get the message to maybe come to church or to obey God or to love God. Prayer is important, and it's important in our life. And that's what we share. Now, I'll give you a little preview about next week, because next week is one of my favorites of all time, and it's a guy from Samaritan, and his first name is Good. It's a Good Samaritan story. So come back next week and we'll talk some more.